What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Survivor Now podcast. We are back, finally. It is November 2nd, 2022, and what an episode we just witnessed. My God. We saw an incredible immunity challenge take place between Gabler and Cody, where Gabler was able to come out on top. James found a dirty bottle in the tribe's drinking water that had a clue that led to the knowledge is power advantage that was just chilling under the tribe shelter. We witnessed the first ever game of advantage hot potato, as I like to call it, and we saw Vesey, more specifically Jesse and Cody, turn on their own man, Dwight, leading to his elimination. Today, I am joined by the man that I am going to dedicate the next minute to, Mr. Josh Verlin. Josh, how are you doing today?
I'm great. If you see me looking off camera, the Phillies are playing in the World Series tonight. It is game 4. I'm trying to focus on Survivor, but it's the World Series. So if I suddenly jump, you know why?
Did you get most of the episode today? Trying to watch both?
No. I knowing that we were filming our podcast tonight, I had the game cast up. I figured if anything, if they've got bases loaded, I would switch to the game really quickly. It didn't happen. Scoreless game. Nothing really interesting happened. So it was good. I just had the game cast up. And as soon as the episode ended, Phillies game on the television, podcast with Randy, we're good. But no, great episode. I think there's definitely plenty to talk about, good and bad, but I very much enjoying this season and, really good group of players. But Randy, let's talk first. I'm curious what your thoughts are, because there's a lot we can get on this episode, and this isn't maybe the biggest point. This maybe isn't the biggest point, but it's something that my wife mentioned to me as she was, leaving the room. Do we like them making the merge? Now we've had 2 merge eliminations or 1 semi-merge elimination, and we're not at the jury yet.
Oh my gosh.
Are we merging soon?
I'm loving that you brought this up, because that's one of the things I put at the very end of my notes is Dwight should be on the jury.
Yes.
Okay, I've always,
because I don't even think the most interesting part of this episode was that Dwight went home, because I didn't expect, based on his edit, he was not going to go far. Yeah. Was not a shocking elimination, but I'm surprised that he's not a jury member.
I have always been under the assumption, and I know this has always not been the case, even with the newer seasons, obviously. But I feel if you do the merge, everyone from the merge on should be on the jury. I feel like that should be kind of your reward for making the merge. If you make the merge, you're in this game until the very end. And that's how I've always felt. Even if I know way back when Survivor first started, they kind of did the same thing: merge, then first boot from the merge wouldn't be on the jury, and then they would start the jury up. But I hate once you do the merge, you should be on the jury,
especially because once the merge hits, then you're talking about the people that are now part of the whole game, and I think that's the natural transition point. My change to this actually would be I think we're merging too soon. Yeah, I think we need 1, maybe even 2 more votes. If you're going to do this fake merge thing, fine. Then go 1 more vote, have the fake merge, then have the real merge. But this, I was surprised that Dwight was not the first member of the jury.
What are they merging out right now? Is it final 12 they've been merging?
They merged at 13. Well, they merged at 13, but then now they're 12. Merging at 12. Yeah.
So I would put the number at 10. I mean, I still think that might be a little much. Personally, if I'm looking at 18 people, I would merge with 8 people remaining. I don't know if that's not enough. That's what I would do. But I think if you're going to do a number 10.
You need 3. You got a final 3.
Yeah.
And then you want an odd number on the jury. So 9. So that's 12. I have no problem.
Okay. That makes sense. It wouldn't make sense to have 5 people on the jury with the
correct.
So,
and I don't think you don't want to go 8. And then you're not going to go 7 and 3. I think they haven't done a 7-person jury in forever. So they clearly like the bigger. Yeah, but they like the bigger jury. I mean, they clearly like the bigger juries, and I don't think that's something that anybody's really going to complain about. It's more votes, more people in the game. I don't really mind that. But yeah, I think when you're merging and now you're saying here's everybody that gets to now see how the rest of the game breaks down, those should be the people that are on the jury.
Yeah, I definitely thought it was weird. And Dwight handled it perfectly when he was going out. He's like, man, this is a bummer being out one vote before the jury. I'd be irate. Like as I'm talking to the camera, I would be like screaming at the camera. I'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, why am I not on the jury right now? So I could definitely see if Dwight is frustrated. But let's go on to the actual elimination then, and let's talk about Dwight this season. Josh, you were spot on with he really didn't get the edit, and it never felt like, sometimes we like to look past the edit ourselves because we analyze the game so much. It never felt like he really got a foothold in the game outside of maybe being aligned a little bit with Noel, but it still didn't feel like they were like a super tight two or anything. It just felt like he never found his person that he could trust moving forward.
Yeah, but everybody was saying that it felt like Dwight was playing. So based on the fact, unless everybody, there was a bunch of comments, right, about Dwight's playing pretty hard. He can, he's working with Noel. We can get him out and hurt Noel. So clearly there was a perception of him being a player. It wasn't like hey, he's an easy vote because he's not doing anything and he hurts Noel. He's a player and he hurts Noel. So from that, I infer there that it was the edit that is making us feel this way more so than that he didn't have that place. And so then when you look at the way most of this cast has been edited compared to Dwight, it just sort of felt like, okay, this would make sense if Dwight went home right now, because they just haven't been setting him up at all as someone who's going to be a factor in the game. And we have so many people who are being set up that way. So at some point he needed to go because he wasn't going to, it didn't seem like he was being edited the same way as, Carla clearly is. Sammy clearly is. Cody clearly is. Gabler right now. Now that's the other thing. Like, I thought this was a great Gabler episode for a lot of reasons. What are your okay? Now you and I were texting this week, and I'll let you bring up my comparison. I'm curious now your thoughts one episode later,
because we didn't get to speak last week on it.
So not.
Josh,
I had the flu or something awful.
Yeah. Josh is comparing Gabler to Keith. What was his last name?
Keith Nail.
Nail. I knew it started with an N. Do you guys remember Keith? Like he played with his son at one point. Just a lovable. Would you say redneck? Would you say Keith's a redneck?
He's he's
in a good way.
Good old Southern boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Firefighter.
Great dude from what we could tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I see the comparison. I think that Gabler is a little better at gameplay.
Yes. I think this episode he started to separate himself. I think the smart move of I just made a move and now I need to simmer down a little bit. The whole Gabler, Alec Gabler thing is like a little ridiculous in a good way, but like he's right. He needed to like, okay, I made a move. Now let me just back off a little bit. Then you win immunity. So I was like perfect Gabler episode.
Are we ready though we've been talking about Gabler all season and we're just, he is just building his stock here. Are we ready to say that Gabler is a good player with good gameplay? Because to start the year, I'll just say, as we went along episode by episode, I would sit here and I would be like, okay, Gabler has some gameplay, but I've literally said he's kind of a foolish guy who's just stumbling along here and he actually doesn't know what he's doing. And now, last couple of episodes, he won our player of the week for last week. And now this week, he's going to have a running to possibly go back to back in our player of the week poll. Now I'm starting to be like, holy crap, Gabler might know what he's doing by playing this game. Because like you said, taking a step back after making a big move, it's genius. And no one, yes, he had immunity, but no one came back to camp from at least what we saw. Obviously, they could have said it. No one came back to camp and went, darn, Gabler won immunity. He would have been the next one to go for sure. No one cared. They were like, yeah, good job, Gabler.
He's an erratic player, but I think he's more of a good player than he is a bad player. I think that's clear at this point. I don't think he's perfect or flawless or anything close to that, but I think he's proven that he's thinking out there and he's got some physical prowess. And I think generally, like, I don't think he's driving everybody nuts. I think they're a little skeptical of him, but I don't think it's like a coach situation or anything where people are like, oh my God, this Gabler guy. And on top of that, I think he actually is I think he seems like a really genuinely good dude. Like outside of everything. And I think he's definitely somebody I want to see play again. And interestingly, if he does play again, I don't think he's someone who comes in where people are going to look at Gabler and be like, "Oh my God, we can't trust him." I don't. If you think about it, the move he made against Ellie was because she had gone through his bag, even if she wasn't like whatever. But
The person who
yeah,
did it, but she
right.
still had a part in it. Yeah.
Right. And he had reason. It wasn't just some crazy like, oh, she looked at me the wrong way or whatever. Like he had a legit if he legitimately believed she'd gone through his bag, that's a very normal reason to then want to go after somebody. So I'm not watching this as somebody being like, oh, Gabler would be a nightmare to work with. I think you just have to sort of be a little careful around him, but he can be someone that you can work with in the game. So yeah, if there's someone that if they let me put it this way. If there's someone that if you think when they come back, would they do well and would they go farther, then that would be someone who is a good player.
No, I definitely agree. My only thing is with Gabler, and we're going to talk about Gabler more in this episode when we get to, he's now record holder in terms of the holding up a bucket challenge, I guess. I don't know what the official time was, but I know they got up to like at least 36 or 37 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Are we pro talking during challenges or are we anti talking? And by we, I mean you, because I know my answer, but
I'm anti.
Oh, okay. I'm pro.
And here's why I'm anti, just to add on to this point. It feels a bit, there's people out there who still feel like Survivor's fake. It's not, people. I mean, I haven't been out on the island. I've just spoken to enough people that I don't believe it is at all.
It would be a huge conspiracy. There would be like thousands of people they would have had to pay to keep that conspiracy going.
Exactly. But it feels a little fakish to me. Almost like, I know it's not. I know that's genuine answers, but I don't know. I'm just putting myself in that position. And if Jeff is talking to me, I'm not going to think, I'm not going to think of an exact moment, what this means to me at the moment. I'm in the middle of holding this bucket up. I'm focused. Two, I might tell him to shut up in the moment because I am so focused. And that's why I was like, I want them to be, I'm not opposed to it. It doesn't ruin the episode.
Is there a difference between probed questions and just the Christian Hubicki style? I'm just going to talk because I was thinking the second one, but the questions. So, okay. So you're anti-probed questions, but you're pro.
He should not be asking questions to the castaways while they are competing. Now, if the castaways want to speak, like Kubicki, who was like, I'm just going to talk, Jeff. And yeah, I'm fine with that. That's on them. If they want to talk, if that helps them out, do it. If you want to distract others, do it. But I don't think Jeff should be personally, because that can break concentration. I don't know. Maybe I'm going way too far into this, but I feel like it can almost be a disadvantage. And yes, he asks everyone a question, but he's got to start with someone. And if you're in the zone and you're trying to think about that and you slip, that's kind of Jeff Probst costing you the challenge in a way. So I don't think Jeff should interact with the castaways during the challenge, besides just doing his normal commentary on the sideline, basically.
No, I'm okay with that. Yeah, because I do like when the contestants are just allowed to just go.
Yeah.
I would imagine it helps, gives you something to, especially when you're just holding on. There's only so much concentration. You're just, it's not like the you have to catch the balls and everything, because that could be really distracting.
Well, we can go ahead and go into the challenge itself. First off, nice immunity necklace. Again, yeah. I liked it. You like the design, Josh? The kind of pointy skull thing. Yeah. Good job, art department. You did a great job again.
I'm not usually one to be like, oh, remember 26 that had the worst. They're all cool looking,
Yeah, they're all unique. The challenge itself was good. That's a problem that I've been having it like lately, is same challenges over and over. I thought we had pieces of challenges that we've seen in the past, and then I don't remember that muddy net thing. I don't remember that. So
they love sticking them in mud. They love being like, you're gonna get dirty in this challenge, and there's just nothing you can do about it.
I don't know if I would want to do that challenge.
No,
that was terrified. I know I'm not claustrophobic usually, but that just looked like I would get tangled up and I'd start freaking out.
I know you were like a little bit behind starting the episode, and I was gonna text you like, this seems like, other than the eating gross food, that looked like the least amount of fun. Like, oh, you're gonna get stuck in this nasty mud rope,
drowning in mud,
and you can't get out and can't move. Oh yeah, that sounds like a great time.
It looked awful, but props again. Yeah,
bad food. Number 2 worst challenge would be the under the grate, where you can't breathe. Have you seen that one yet? That's the
Yeah.
second worst
I
challenge.
love watching that challenge. The third, sorry, it's not even top 3 because I would say the third is that giant boulder that I still feel like will roll back on someone one day. They did it in both 41 and 42. There's a giant boulder that you have to like push.
Oh yeah.
I just think that's gonna hurt someone one day. So, but
Nah,
look,
that's not as bad as the almost drowning. The
yeah,
drowning simulator is the worst.
yeah, we'll put it at 4 though. We'll put rolling around in mud in a tight net as fourth. But before we get to what led to more Jeff talking here, we did have a few people struggle in this, more specifically Janine and Noelle, and really Noelle, because Janine was the last one in it anyway, so she was kind of playing from behind. But it's a good thing to talk about here is Noelle struggles. We have this beautiful moment of everyone helping her out of the net. And I think that tribe, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, unity kind of.
Cohesion.
I think that was really nice to see. But Jeff stops the challenge to have a beautiful speaking moment with everyone about you really tried, and Noelle's in tears and we're having this emotional moment. So, Josh, my question to you is it getting a little too, is modern Survivor getting a little too sappy?
Just maybe a little bit. I mean, I'll slightly push back on the stopping the challenge part because that's not like it. Like they were between segments.
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
challenge.
So they didn't.
It wasn't like he stopped it. Yeah. So like, I can't hate on it that much. Is it a little bit? Yes. On the flip side, I can imagine when you're out there for 26 days and you're Jeff Probst, who's executive producer of the show, you know you're going to include those moments, but you don't know when those moments are going to happen. So, maybe you just sort of have to roll with them as they happen because you don't know throughout the course of the season how many of them there are going to be. Maybe that's a little bit too much of the benefit of the doubt. I think it is, I'm a person that likes knowing the backstories. I don't mind generally that everybody has a compelling reason to be on Survivor. I get that.
Gabler had like that, it's backstory today.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. But I think like we've established that this is a good group of people, and it's it's like okay, it's a comment and move on. Like we don't. Yes, it's a good group of people. Yes, Noelle was caught in a rope. Like they're not gonna just leave her there and be like, screw you, like get out of it yourself. Like nobody's that callous.
If there was someone on season 41, which at the moment I can't remember other than Danny getting emotional when he won on like the anniversary of his father's death, I think. But besides that, season 40 Winners at War, you had Ethan struggling to get up the mountain during that one challenge, and that was like a super emotional moment. Actually, yeah, season 41, you would have had Tiffany who struggled at a challenge and the balance beam. I'm sure someone struggled in season 42 that I can't think of. And in season 43, we have this. So now it's becoming like a regular thing that it feels like every season we're having at least one person struggle that we have to kind of like boost up in a way and be like, you got this, you pushed hard, which is good. I mean, we want to encourage people like that, but I had to bring it up because I was talking to a Survivor player earlier that I'm not going to name, that they said, it is getting very emotional nowadays where it feels like we have an emotional scene every single episode.
Yeah, and I think I can't hate too much on the like not wanting to mock people who have tough times during.
Yeah, we don't want bullying.
Correct. Obviously. We don't want bullying. And there's also the knowledge of like these could go viral and this could, like you face plant once on a beam, you do it in the middle of nowhere with your buddies, haha, everybody laughs and you go away. It's very different when it's broadcast to 5 million people and can be, looped and jiffed forever. So I get that in the moment you're going to be like, hey, like this isn't an embarrassing moment. Like this is okay. You're human. Again, yeah, I think a little too much. I'm not gonna go overboard and be like, oh my god, it's the worst thing ever. I think it's a little too much, but
it's a tough thing to kind of navigate because while I was watching, I was like, oh, this is super sweet. I love Noelle, and I thought it was badass that she took off her leg and she started trying that way. She's like, I'm going to get through this thing. So I thought it was cool, but it is kind of that moment of like, oh my gosh, here's another emotional moment. But then again, you can't just be like, if you're Survivor, you can't be like, we're not going to show these moments. Like it's a beautiful thing. So it's something like we want it kind of to be lessened in a way, but you can't really lessen it in a way, something like that. Last question I have for the challenge. Do we like, because I know my answer, Josh, do we like that they ran it in parts? We've seen this plenty of times before.
Yeah.
Could this be a new norm? Because I loved it.
What do you mean? They've done that all the
well, no, they've done it before, but what I'm saying is moving forward, if they can, should they do this like kind of group thing where they're like, first 5 people who complete this move on to the next, and then first 3 do that on a regular basis now.
I think do it the same way you've been doing it. They've mixed, I think,
on occasion.
I think that's a perfect mix in. No,
okay.
I think my thing with Survivor should be is there should be variety. Like for instance, there was a Dalton Ross interview that came out today where Jeff Probst was like, "We're never just going to have everybody make the merge again. You're always going to have to earn the merge," kind of thing. And I'm like, that shouldn't be the case either. Like,
no, it shouldn't.
I don't, no. Not that I don't like earning the merge, but you should never have the survivors say, we know exactly what is coming. So,
well, funny you say that, because that kind of goes into, sorry to interrupt you here. But that kind of goes into Dwight literally had a moment today with the knowledge is power that this is where I was going to go to next anyways, kind of the hot potato game of advantage gate or whatever you want to call it, where everyone's passing the advantages around, because Dwight literally says, well, we know it's the first advantage, like post merge, it's probably the knowledge is power if you've been watching the past couple seasons. So you bringing that up of like, it needs to kind of change and stuff. Is Survivor too predictable? Because we literally had a player, well, it's probably the knowledge is power. Obviously, he didn't know, but he was right. It was the knowledge is power. And that caused everyone to pass their idols and advantages around, which that was the nail in the coffin of Survivor's Too Nice now. Because I was thinking back in the day, what would happen if everyone passed their advantages around? And I'm like, there would be at least one person who says, I'm not giving it back. At least. And like, it was just like everyone was friendly and they're like, yeah, I'll give it back to you after this. And
that person then puts a huge target on their back, though, which is interesting. It's, I think, okay, so knowing that the Survivor producers sort of do these, 41, 42, 43, 44, I don't think it's going to change much for 44.
Probably not.
I hope that, especially if 44, the same things are happening where like it's there. I hope that to the producers as a wake-up call, because it shouldn't be that difficult to shake things up. Like it's not. You have 43 seasons of history and advantages and steal votes, nullify, and blah blah blah. All these things that you don't really have to introduce any new twists to the game. You just have to pick and choose which twist you're going to use in any given season, whether that's an exile island or even a ghost island or a prisoner's dilemma, which, we said, okay, it's not great when they are all anticipating that, but like, maybe if you're at your tribe and you get something that says, you get on this boat, you don't know if it's you and 2 other people or just you or what possibly could be. I was watching, we're watching Palau, and I watched a little bit into Guatemala, and there's a part where they're having,
I need to catch up, people.
And there's just so many different. Sorry, I shouldn't spoil this, but there's just so many different things that they could be doing that it's not like they have to think of new things or invent new or spend a lot of money or whatever. Just switch it up year to year.
No, I for sure agree. And I think I'm sitting there, it really can't be that difficult to think of a new idea either. There's anything, you can pretty much do anything to these people as long as it's, legal. And obviously, like, you can throw any wrench in there and us as the audience are still going to be interested. I mean, take the hourglass advantage. Everyone hated it, but it was new. I mean, it was interesting.
A pair challenge. They didn't know how to react to that. They drew rocks. Okay, that wasn't a very like dramatic thing.
Yeah.
Let's try it again in 44. If they also draw rocks and it's like, all right, there's no real interest that came out of that. All right, fine. So maybe we don't do it in 45 and 46 and we bring it back at some point in the future, you know?
It almost feels like they're either running out of ideas or they've just gotten to the point where they're like, let's just do it. Let's just throw this at them. They've got like a limited list they're working with where they should have, like you said, 43 years of experience to pull something out.
Seasons, not years, but yes.
Oh, so yeah, my bad.
So show's been on a lot longer than we thought. No,
yeah.
I think they need to. I'm wondering if they're getting. Look, we're not Jeff Probst, but I'm wondering if there's a mindset of there is a perfect way to run Survivor, and we're going to try to find that perfect way to run Survivor, versus there is no perfect way to run Survivor. You just have to keep changing it up.
Yeah. I wanted to ask this question too. I was talking to someone else the other day about this. Survivor is, I don't want to say repetitive, but it's getting to the point with these reoccurring stuff and everything that it's kind of got, like you said, in a way, a structure, right? The perfect way to run the show. It's got kind of a structure now, where back in the day, structures changed up. It was a whole different thing every single season. Do we feel like the producers or Jeff Probst or whoever is behind this is worried about viewership or anything like that? Because I just feel like they're worrying a little too much about pleasing the audience, where I feel like the audience, we are going to be here regardless. I mean, we have gone through some terrible seasons and we've gone through phenomenal seasons and we're still here. And from the numbers that I'm seeing, the viewership is still running Wednesday nights, or one of the best Wednesday nights. So I almost feel like they're a little too worried about the viewership going down if they were to, bring a villain on. I'm done talking about that. That's the only thing I'll say, or something like that. They're worried about how people nowadays in 2022 going into 2023 will react to some of the stuff that used to make Survivor so successful.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah,
I just don't. I don't. I can't say why they're doing it. All I can guess at is to the what they're trying to get at, but the deeper meaning, I'm not really sure.
He is a man. I have.
By the way, the votes are up on Wikipedia. I didn't catch what happened afterwards. So, Gabler, Janine, and Owen voted for Ryan. So, the three Bacas stuck together,
except for Sam,
except for Sammy, who flipped, and then Dwight and Noelle voted for James.
Okay.
So it would indicate that Noelle is now firmly on the bottom.
Yeah.
Or a free agent, correct. I mean, the next week on Survivor was like, oh, this 7 can go to the end. Oh, the Phillies are about to be losing by a bunch. This 7 can go to the end. It's like, that's never gonna happen. Like that, I would be shocked if that 7 lasts one more episode. Like that's gonna break up and there's gonna be a group of 5 and Noelle's gonna come.
Obviously, yeah. Well, let's talk about a small 4 that is now a small 3, which might be a smaller 2, which is the Vesey tribe that a few weeks ago we were like, looked like the most cohesive tribe. And they started to break apart this episode with Jesse really starting to, it seems like Jesse really trusts Carla, and it seems like they've got a good relationship going at the moment. And Jesse threw out eliminating Noelle when, there was other names going around. I do want to talk about James in a second, because he's kind of got a hairy position in the game, if that makes sense, or scary position or whatever. But the votes were kind of going James or Ryan, and then James finding the advantage, whatever it was. Then everyone's like, let's go James. And Jesse was the one who kind of stood up and went, what if we go Noelle? Because she's gaining power, she's gaining confidence, and she could win this game. And I thought Jesse did an excellent move here. We see way too many times where people want to get someone out, they put their foot down, and then they keep wanting that person, and they eventually dig their own grave by just staying on one person. where he brought it up to Cody, which I thought was really risky. And Cody was like, I see what you're saying, but I would rather get out Dwight because I don't trust Dwight. And Jesse's like, okay, I'm going to wait. I'll go with Cody, build trust, and then we'll try to get Noel next time, which I thought was an amazing move.
Yeah, really smart.
For Jesse.
And also, I mean, it helps that like it still hurts Noel. So it's like a win-win. He's like, all right, I'll let him have the move. We don't butt heads. It still gets at the alliance I want to get at. Yeah, smart.
Was it too soon, though? Because we heard Cody asking about that it could have been too soon to make a move like that.
I mean, like, you're in the final 12 of Survivor. Like, you're at once you're post-merge, you're making moves. Like, I don't think, like, I don't even know what that means. Is it too soon? Like, no, like, you should be.
Is it ever too soon?
You should be continually trying to improve your positioning in the game. So if you can direct a vote towards somebody that you want out, that's a good move. It's something to add to your resume. You're in the majority of an alliance. And now you're past that vote and you move to the next vote. I think that's how you have to look at it every time. Oh, they're just about to score more runs.
I was going to say, you sound so sad right now. Okay, let's move on to Dwight then, and we can kind of talk about the knowledge is power. That we've already done that a little bit in this episode, but we could allude back to it. But he finds this was new. I mean, he finds a bottle in front of, the guys. I can't remember who all was there. I think it was Owen. I think Cody might have been there. Dwight. I know Owen was there for sure.
Yeah.
But they're getting water out. First off, that bottle looked disgusting. And I know they have to boil the water anyways. But I was just like, do we really have to put this in the water? Like this rustic bottle. And I was like, is this really the best idea? They scoop it out, says there's an advantage under the camp. And everyone kind of just does their own thing of like, no, we're not going to go after it till afterwards. And I was like, okay, this is BS. Someone's definitely going to grab it. James goes and grabs it. What did you think of this whole sequence, Josh? And then we'll go into kind of where James is at in the game, because it really hasn't felt like he's got a secure spot the past few weeks.
It's interesting because I almost think James is getting a winner's edit.
Oh, okay. That came out of left field, baseball term right there. Yeah.
Yes. But a bunch of people are getting winner's edits. But they just kind of keep showing James like, he decides to get this advantage. Knowledge is power. He tells a couple people about it. It's the first time the knowledge is power doesn't immediately blow up in somebody's face.
Almost did. Yeah.
But it didn't. He didn't play it. The whole idol swap thing happened. He just kind of, let it slide. And he didn't get voted out. So I don't know. I'm just kind of, maybe it's just because he's a Philly guy and I'm just kind of like hoping that, he's the one. But I'm just wondering, like, he seems kind of like to be getting this, like, hey, James keeps kind of like hanging around, making some moves, being there. Everybody else is kind of being loud, and James is like, he's different than Carla, but he's also kind of playing that like just, a little under the radar, but very aware of what's going on kind of thing, which usually bodes well. I don't know. I just don't love the knowledge is power in general. Like the fact that they brought it right back immediately, and put it back in such an obvious place, like that somebody was going to find it instantly and almost certainly would be finding it with other people.
They're really desperate to have it work. I mean, it was the first time we saw it was Xander. That was iconic. Or not, Xander didn't have it, but it was oh my gosh, what was her name?
Was that Shan?
Not Shan. It was
Liliana. No.
Liliana, yes.
Liana.
Yeah. That was it. I was like, Liliana didn't sound right. Liana, yeah. When she found it and then asked Xander, and he's like, no, I don't. And he passed it on to something. That was iconic. Right. And it was such like.
And now it's just like the obvious move. Oh, somebody's got it. Let's hand it. I agree. Yeah. And it just goes right back to like Survivor can't get predictable. And right now, it's just a little bit predictable.
Especially they're casting more super fans too.
Correct.
And these are people who, it used to be we would have a mixture of people who don't know the game and a mixture of people who really know the game.
And they can't do that anymore, understandably, right? Like if you now cast 18 people who didn't know Survivor and put them into modern day Survivor, it wouldn't be good. It would be, I mean, maybe it could be entertaining for a little bit, but it would generally be like frustrating, kind of like watching Celebrity
I feel like
Jeopardy.
there would be a lot of arguing, like a ton of
and just not understanding, and it just wouldn't. Right.
But so, now they have
if you're going to then have but then if you're going to have super fans, then you can't have the game be the same way, because now these are people that know the game inside of the game and know what to expect and are really thinking about it 24/7 when they're out there. So you have to treat them differently. No, I agree.
I almost feel like James like his best path forward would be to go with Ryan and bring in someone else as kind of like a tight 3. I don't know. That's what I've been thinking. Even though that Ryan was kind of mean to James today when they worked together, I was like, ooh, Ryan, that is not a good look, my guy. When he was like in his face, he's like, you have to pay attention to me. And I was like, okay, someone's a little competitive here. Love Ryan. You're still my winner pick. But so I almost feel like I don't believe he's going to win, but I can't back it now, or can't back out now. I almost feel like that would be his best path forward, is get with Ryan, because Ryan's been on the outs for what, 4 weeks now, 3 or 4 weeks now.
This is when I start to lose track of like, okay, who's actually working with who, and
it's very
how fluid is the game.
It is
that kind of thing.
It's been a very fluid season, so it's been really difficult to see like who is actually with who. I still don't know to this day. I will bring up this. This was an interesting point. So a guy does go home tonight in Dwight. There are 4 girls left. And I thought for a minute maybe Noelle was going to go home and be the third. I don't like to split it up into genders, but this is something to note that a lot of girls have went home early. And funny thing, before the season, I was like, I like the women this season more than more than the guys. Do we think, if we were to make a prediction right now, is a guy going to win this season? We've seen girls win the past 2 in Erica and Marianne. There's 4 left. There's Carla, there's Noelle, there's Janine, and Cassidy. Or Cassidy. Is it Cassidy? I feel like I always mix it up. Yeah. So what do you think, Josh? What are we thinking about these 4 remaining women compared to the guys? Because another one almost went home tonight. I almost wrote down Noelle in my notes because I thought it was going to be Noelle. And that would have brought us down to 3.
I think it's more likely to be a guy, only because I don't think Janine, Noelle, or Cassidy are getting winners edits at the moment. So I think if it is going to be a woman, it's Carla. Whereas it could still be Cody. It could be James. It could be Sammy.
Gabler getting a winner's edit.
I mean, he would have to end up with the right group of people. It's not impossible.
Challenge Beast Gabler.
Yeah, I think he's less likely than those other guys. So I say it's more likely to be a guy, only because it seems like there's more potential male candidates than there are female candidates at the moment. But I don't think that it's possible. I don't think that the fact that there's more men than women left right now actually makes a difference.
You don't think the guys are going to?
No, I don't think it makes. I don't think I don't think they're thinking.
Good. Well, I don't think anyone wants that. But I had to point it out because it's been kind of a thing this season where it seems like the women are getting out before all these men, where I thought, I said at the beginning of the year, I like the women more than the guys this season. And I've just been so wrong. I picked Ryan as my winner pick, and he'll be gone one of the next 2 weeks. By the way, on a future podcast, I will be wearing the cartoonish buck teeth for a little bit. Josh, I don't know if you ever heard this, but I made a bet with Abraham that if Dwight made the merge, which I said there's no way Dwight will make the merge, none. And he made it. So now I have to wear like those cartoonish buck teeth.
Gotcha. You should have said that he would make the jury. You would have been.
I would have been perfect. All right. So I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I have anything else really to discuss from this episode.
Solid episode. I think it was solid. Sorry that we've been away. We've been super busy lately. Josh has been sick. I've been out. Abraham's been out of town. He should be back next week. And then Will is doing some school stuff. He should be back as well. I guess the last question, couple questions I wanted to ask you to wrap us up here. Who would you say is the most underrated player heading into this final 11 here? If you were to look at everybody, someone who is kind of
most underrated,
someone under the radar that
I probably would have said winning. James, because when I said that, you were like, whoa, I think James could be the under the radar one. The only other one that even like
Cassidy.
I can't tell. I think they're setting her up to make potentially a big move next episode, in which case maybe, but I want to see that episode. The only other one I think Sammy is actually playing a really good game and continues to impress for being 19 years old. But I think like especially if I hadn't said earlier what I said about James, and then you had said who's the under the radar one, then I think James would have been the perfect one that I would have said.
I ruined it.
Yes, well, I ruined it. I brought him up.
And then we'll
who would your pick be?
I think Cassidy. I think Cassidy is getting very under the radar game. I think I like what you said about Sammy. There's a lot. If anything about this season, there's a lot of people who could win. I still think Owen, who almost got himself eliminated very early on, could regroup and end up winning this game. I think he's a smart enough guy to kind of navigate his way to the ending. I really want Gabler to win. I can't tell you how bad I want Gabler to win. Do it for the older guys. Heading in, we'll let you guys vote on the polls about who becomes the player of the week for week 7. But Josh, who should win player of the week for this week? I'm kind of torn between, I'll go first, Jesse and Gabler. I think I would lean towards Jesse for winning player of the week, week 7. I think that's where my vote would go.
Yeah. I might even consider James though.
Really?
For managing to get that advantage, everybody knows it, and staying safe. But Jesse, I mean, it's like funny because Jesse's biggest move was like not making a move. His biggest move was being like, oh, that was a good idea. So like, does that make you player of the week? I don't know. It also, let me put it this way. I don't think there's like a strong, obvious contender this week.
No, a lot of people are going to vote Gabler. I know, just because of the challenge and how long he lasted and got a lot of screen time this week.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think that does it. We are back, and we should be back to our regular time moving forward. We do apologize for missing last week, and thank you guys for your patience as well and still tuning in to hang out with us after Survivor. Have us be your go-to podcast. Josh, where can everyone catch you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter for who knows how much longer at JM Furley.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I know, like, I'm not going anywhere on Twitter at the moment, but oh my goodness.
My gosh. You have a blue check mark, don't you?
I do have a blue check mark. Not for long, I guess.
Yeah, if you guys didn't, the only thing I'll say about Twitter right now is you can finally be verified for a price. For a price. Yeah. Oh, you guys can catch us on social media. You can catch me on social media at I'm Randy Bruce. And then you can catch our podcast social media at Survivor Now Podcast on Instagram and at Survivor Now Pod on Twitter. If you are watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel. We really do appreciate it. And if you're listening to this in podcast form, what would it be on Spotify? Is it follow? Yeah, follow and give us a rating. I usually don't ask about the ratings, but we do appreciate that as well. Josh, I guess I'll speak to you next week, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time.